Hello everyone, today I have a video on the Purple Waffle Plant. It's a really cool plant. I love this plant. The other name for it, or the botanical name, is the Hemigraphis alternata. So we're going to be talking about this plant today. And hopefully you'll learn a few things about this plant and how to take care of it. Purple waffle plant. There are some other varieties of this plant, which we'll get into here in a little bit. What this plant's usually called is purple waffle plant, but it does go by some other names. I have not heard of these other names, but I did do my research, and red ivy, cemetery plant, and meadow leaf plant are the three names that I came across. The reason why, what I found out is the reason why that it's called meadow leaf plant is because sometimes they have almost like a metallic-y sheen, and if you kind of look at, it a little bit, you can kind of see how it's kind of a little bit, I guess, metallic-y in some ways. But basically, when you put it in the light, that can actually fade. There are some other varieties and variations. This one, I actually used to have one that had much lighter colors in it, and it had some variegation and lighter pink and purple colors. So if we kind of look at the texture, you can kind of probably figure out why they call it a waffle plant. This is a fairly easy plant to take care of overall, but it does require some regular watering and also some other tips that I'm going to share with you today. Sometimes it is grown as a ground cover, but many times it's just grown in as like a house plant. Some people put it in a hanging basket and it beautifully cascades over the sides of the basket. It will drape over. I just keep mine indoors. These plants are super prone to things like root rot because they do require regularly moist soil, and they also sometimes can grow some mildew and whiteflies and other things like that. But while they last, they're quite beautiful. They are easy to propagate as well. They are considered to be a little bit of a fast-growing plant, so it does need to be repotted if you start to see the roots coming out the bottom. I always use other pots, so this is not the name, obviously, of this plant, but if you start to see roots coming down here, then it probably is time to repot your plant. When they do grow, it kind of has a spreading pattern, kind of goes out, because if you think about almost reminds me kind of Ajuga a little bit, but it has that spreading pattern, and of course, most ground covers are like that. It's actually considered an air purifying plant, so if you're wanting to have an air purifying plant in your house, this is a great one. The mature size of the plant is approximately about 6 inches tall and 8 inches wide. I kind of like it just this, how tall it is right now. I think it's a perfect size. As far as the soil, it does like to be slightly acidic to neutral, and it kind of likes a humusy type soil, or humusy like soil. This is actually considered a tropical plant, and thus, like many other tropical plants, it does like its humidity. If you take one look at the leaves, you obviously can tell probably why it likes its humidity. When you have these outside, you want to obviously keep them out of bright direct light, and you also want to bring them in if it gets under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. These plants do usually bloom in the summertime. Mine actually, this one here, you can actually see probably, let's see if we can get a picture in there. It's kind of a little dead flower there, but they were like little, almost like, not quite purple, but they were white flowers, and they were really cute because I hadn't seen this flower yet. As far as fertilizing, you can do a slow release. This will really help to give it what it needs. You can do a 6-12-6, and this is going to provide the nutrients. Now, as far as propagating, I have not done that yet on this plant, but I have been told that this is fairly easy plant to propagate. And so what you would do with this, what I read, is that you would just cut one of the stems, and you would want to keep a node. You can probably kind of see the node here. I'll get my finger out of the way. You would want to make sure that you cut below the node. You would want to cut below the node, and then after you cut that, then you pin it to the soil, maybe put some soil over it, and then just make sure to keep it consistently moist. And they're supposed to be fairly easy to propagate, so I will be trying that. You also want to prune your plant, so you see here that there's some leaves like that. I would definitely want to cut that, so then as it becomes soggy and starts to go into the soil, it might turn into some mildew, so I definitely need to cut that. As far as the sun, as I mentioned, if you have them in direct sun, you're going to have to water them more often, and also you're going to see some crisping of the edges, and so you really don't want it to be directly in the sun. Keep it out of the sun. It is somewhat forgiving of a plant with the watering. The other plant that I had, I'm really good at watering, but for some reason, I don't know if I skipped a day or if it was out in the sun too much. I don't know what happened, but I basically like submerged the bottom part in water with my other plant, and it did end up taking a couple days for it to come back. They were completely drooped. The plant was completely drooped over, and it almost looked like a goner, but it just, I soaked it, and it really did a good job at coming back. So like I said, you need to keep it consistently moist. If you are someone who struggles with remembering to water your plants, there is a wicking method to water your plants that is extremely helpful. I have used this on some of my plants. This actually was on a different plant, but I also had it with the waffle plant as well. This is actually my Fittonia. And so I can always do a video on this. Just put in the comment section if you want a video on this. It is very helpful if you're someone that's very forgetful about watering your plants. As far as toxicity, it's not considered a toxic plant. Definitely not recommend eating any kind of plants, at least. That's it for this video. Make sure to follow Ruthless Exotics on Instagram. Thank you for the use of this picture. We do appreciate them and we love their site. Make sure to go follow them. And also make sure to subscribe to our channel and also our Instagram page as well. All right, everyone. Until next time, take care. Relationships are never meant to last.